Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Spotler September webinar, Mastering Lifecycle Marketing, Boosting e-commerce Success at Every Stage. My name is Richard. I'm working on the content marketing team here at Spotler. And with me we have Kate Barrett, who is the CEO and founder of eFocus Marketing. Now, we've brought Kate in because she's starting to do a lot of strategic consultancy work for us. It is something that Spotler offer, but as the platform's getting bigger, as the remit's getting bigger, as we're speaking to more people, we decide we need an extra set of experts in to help us deliver what you guys need. And Kate and her team are stepping into that mode. So this is very much an introduction to some more people that you'll be working with. If you're a current Spotler customer or about to become one, then this is the face and the style and the maturity model we're going to talk about of how we're going to deliver that for you. So if you are new to Spotler, very warm welcome to you as well. If you're just finding out who we are, then we are the all-in-one marketing automation platform, and we are basically building a product to try and make you as successful as possible through every channel that you use for your marketing. And currently about 10,000 marketers, over 4,000 companies are using one or more of the platforms in our range, and all told that's sending 18 billion marketing promotional support messages. And that's predominantly email, but there's also WhatsApp, there's SMS, there's live chat in there. There's a huge amount going on, a huge amount that we can help you with and that you can do. And the way that we do it is through this growing sort of house of brands and technologies and platforms working together. So if you've been around us for a while, you'll know these 16 different platforms have all come under the Spotler umbrella. And actually, since we wrote these slides, we've added a 17th. We've added Redeye, who are a sort of Cheshire-based marketing automation platform, to the group as well. So it's still growing. We're still adding extra capabilities, extra functionalities, extra support to make your marketing better. But you don't have to know those product names. You have to worry about them too much. You know, as an internal content marketer, that's a lot for me to handle. Never mind you guys who don't really breathe it as quite as much as I do. So those platforms are now getting condensed down into 8 Spotler branded platforms, bringing the best bits of every different functionality into the platform. Some platforms come across almost their entirety, some bits which is pulling the very best fragments out. But the ultimate aim is to deliver the best possible email list, the best possible website platform, best possible social platform to you as customers in an easy to use way. And that means bringing these elements together, combining them, and in some cases building completely new platforms from those existing elements. So these are the brand names that you'll start to see. If you've been, for example, a CRM customer for a long time, you'll start to see the transition and the migration across to that branding and that extra functionality. As well as the platforms are essential part of it, but in keeping with what we're talking about today in the life cycle and the strategic consultancy element, I wanted to mention the people behind the Spotler platform that we're incredibly proud of. So whether that's your first line support, the help this email isn't sending, what do I do? Through account management, which is kind of planning the usage journey and what platforms you might need and whether strategic consultancy is in fact right for you, or if you're happier taking the platform, doing your own thing, absolutely fine. And then deliverability and pro services, strategic consultancy, which I've said about 500 times already, and I'll say a few more times before the webinar is over. So that's if you need templates building, if you need workflows creating, if you need guidance on how to get the best out of those products, we've got the teams behind the platforms there to help you as well. And the last little bit of blowing our own trumpet is Trustpilot and also G2. G2 is a bit more tech focused, so we're trying to build our reputation more on there. We've traditionally been more on Trustpilot, but either way, I love the fact that we've got really strong 4.5, 5-star reviews on both. But if you do take the time to read those reviews, what I hope you notice is that almost every single one picks out someone in the Spotler team by name, whether that's a consultant, whether it's a deliverability expert, whether it's an account manager. So we are very, very happy with the people and the platforms we provide to give you that all-round best possible marketing performance that you can. That's the Spotler angle. So I'm going to hand over to Kate now to explain who she is and what it is we're going to help you do with the platform as we go forward. Kate, it's all yours.
Thank you, Rich, my fellow co-host there on the Email and Beyond podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, you can hear Rich and I a lot more. Just search Email and Beyond wherever you get your podcasts. And I am Kate Barrett, founder and CEO of eFocus Marketing, and we are a specialist email marketing agency helping brands create intelligence, so intelligent email marketing. And as Rich said, we are exclusive partners of Spotler, helping all of their customers to make the most of every email that is sending. Since we started the business, we've worked with a whole range of clients in my career, from entrepreneurs just getting started to some of the big name brands that you can see on your screen. I'm also, as well as co-host with Rich on the Email and Beyond podcast, the author of the best-selling book, Intelligence, Email Marketing Isn't Dead, the way you're using it is. So go and check that out. Now, a key part of what we talk about in the book, what I talk about in the book, is the customer journey, the customer life cycle, and that is what we are here to talk about today. So we're first off going to be going through the 5 stages of the customer journey, and we're going to be looking very specifically at how you can be helpful and add value to your subscribers at every single stage, how you can nurture them and move them through that journey, that life cycle. Of course, I'm going to give you loads of examples along the way, and I'm also going to point out some of the priority campaigns at each stage that you want to make sure that you've got in place. So that's our agenda for today. The key thing about the customer journey is making sure that we are tailoring communications at each of those stages, because the last thing that we want to do is overwhelm our subscribers, particularly with that irrelevant information. Now, what we do want to do is make sure that we help, inspire, guide, support, make it easy for them to take the desired action, nurture them, value them, and recognize them throughout their journey. That takes data. That takes looking at your audience, whether it's at starting point level or getting it to a really advanced stage. And I'll show you a little bit more about how you can look at that with the Spotler maturity model in just a minute. But when we're looking at our audience, when we're trying to understand them, what we have to realize is that what people say they want, what people do, what they say they do, what they actually do are often entirely different things. So what we need to take into consideration is a range of different data that's going to give us much more of a picture of what they want right now and how you can help them. And that's going to come from a range of different data sources. But internally, the 2 that you want to focus in on are your zero-party data and your first-party data. And of course, third-party data is going away in a lot of cases now. So zero and first. Zero is all about the information that people are giving you directly. So it could be on a sign-up form, in a preference center. They're telling you their information. They're telling you their stated preferences, shall we say. So what they're telling you. Now, first-party data is what they're actually doing. So it's what are they looking at on your website? What are they looking at in your emails? What's that purchase history? What have they done before? And how can you use that to then personalize that journey going forward? Because when brands don't use this data, don't use it wisely, don't use it to implement that segmented, personalized, triggered activity. We're going to be talking a lot more about automation as we talk about the 5 stages. Your customers, your prospects are going to get frustrated with you, and frustrated people don't buy. So a survey was conducted and it found that 32% of people found it frustrating when messages didn't recognize their shopping or loyalty history. 49% found it frustrating when irrelevant content or offers were shown to them. And 41% found it frustrating when messages didn't reflect their wants and needs. So we have to be using this data. We're lucky enough to be able to collect it either on those forms, through your Spotler software, being able to track visitors on the website, being able to track that email engagement through that family of brands within the Spotler umbrella. We've got to stop that frustration. And to do that, like I said, you use that data and you start to get cleverer with that data, and you advance up the Spotler maturity model. So let me show you what that looks like. At your first stage, you're probably a broadcaster. So you're trying to maximize that outreach to that wider audience, trying to drive traffic to your website, just getting those starting points, getting campaigns out the door. As you move up in your maturity, you might then become the segmenter. And this is where you really start to focus in on some of your core segments. Perhaps that's based on interests or behavior. You really look at how you can take your strategy from just sending everything to the same people at the same time to how you can start to tailor that journey a little bit, taking those first steps, perhaps putting in the first stages of automated campaigns and journeys. Moving up the model, you get a little bit more solid in that foundation and you become the recommender. And this is all about taking that automation, that segmentation, that personalization to the next level, potentially bringing in those other channels as an omni-channel approach into the platform as well, whether that's SMS, WhatsApp, social, whatever that might be. So you're really taking it to the next level. You're creating automated series. You're leveraging that data for one-to-one content and product recommendations. And then you get to that final stage of maturity, the predictor. So this is where you're implementing those highly targeted, personalized campaigns based on that customer journey, the customer life cycle, based on engagement and behavior. You're really driving forward what is it that they might be doing next, and using that predictive behavior to understand what you can offer to your audience. So wherever you are within that maturity model, that's okay. And you're not going to jump from the broadcaster to the predictor in one day. You work from one stage to the next and work up the ladder. And at each stage, you're going to have different types of campaigns that you want to prioritize and different areas that you want to focus in on. As the broadcaster, you're just focusing probably on getting those emails out the door, trying to get that click rate up, trying to understand who's in your audience and grow that audience primarily. Whereas when you move up to the segmenter, and apologies, the slide has got a little bit mixed up there, but when you move up to the segmenter, it's all about increasing those conversion rates, increasing the channels you're using, increasing that automation, putting in those campaigns, turning them into series, and going up into the recommender, where you're really then testing, doubling down, optimizing your return on investment and understanding what works, what doesn't, and then boosting that reach. And at the predictor stage, you're really into that kind of micro testing. You're into that predictive, personalized content. And at each stage, you're going to have different campaigns across different channels potentially, through those areas of the maturity model, which you can see on the left of the screen, and then also connecting into the various stages of the customer journey. At each stage, depending on where you are in that maturity model, there'll be different campaigns that you focus in on to really help you make the most of each stage of that journey. Now I'm going to show you at the end a little bit of a completed or an idea model of this with some of those different channels listed and some of the automations that we're about to talk about at each of the stages. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that I've been talking about 5 stages of the customer life cycle, whereas the last couple of slides have shown 3 or 4. The last one was just a condensed version. And in this one, retention focuses on the last 2 stages that I'm going to break down in that little bit more detail for you. So let's look at those 5 stages of the customer life cycle. First up, and this is going to be most of your marketing activity that's driving to your website, that is that outreach. So it could be your social media ads, it could be your PPC ads, it could be anything that you're doing to drive new people to find out about your business That's your acquisition stage. So you want to be thinking about what they're searching for, creating that content that inspires them, reduces fears, captures their attention, introduces your brand. So it's going to be a lot of your other marketing channels, but I will show you how it connects into email in just a minute. Consideration is when they've found out about you, but they're considering whether or not they want or need your product and service, or what product or service that is that they're looking for. So they're going through that thought process. Should they buy from you, from a competitor? Do you have what they need or want? It's all through that funnel. This is kind of that funnel taking you to purchase and experience. Now here, the experience piece is really important because many of you will have those, or hopefully all of you will have those transactional emails in place. But here what we're talking about is support, nurture, help the customer to have the best possible experience with you in that post-purchase phase, between when they get their product and then after they've got their product as well. Because if you do this stage really well, loyalty, advocacy, and retention, that next step down at the bottom there, is going to become much easier. And here you're really trying to inspire that loyalty, educate them, get them talking about your brand, sharing with their friends. And then through to the final stage of win back. How can you encourage them to come back again? So those are our 5 core stages. I'm going to take you through very specific examples in just a moment. But let's just set the scene here. 34% of consumers who click on an automated campaign go on to purchase, compared to 7% of campaign email clickers generally. And 87% of B2C marketers leveraging automation as part of their email strategy. So having automation to target these customers when they enter into and as they go through each of these life cycle stages is the gold of your email marketing strategy. It's going to let you send the right message to the right person at the right time. So combine your data to not only identify those stages, but then of course that personalization within that content to really get those winning campaigns launched. So let's talk through those examples. Right at the beginning, during the acquisition stage, you want to be focusing on your sign-up process. So when you are driving this traffic through to your website, you want to be making sure that you are capturing the attention of those people who perhaps don't go on to purchase straight away. So an email sign-up form is where you want to be focusing your attention here. Think about the placement of your sign-up form on your website. Think about the style of your sign-up form. Think about if you offer an incentive. So you can see the example on the bottom left there is 10% off plus free shipping. And again, on the top right there as well. Think about the data that you want to collect at this stage. So at the top example from House of Fraser, you can see they're collecting female or male, for example. On the right-hand side from Cheeky, you've got their interest, whether it's reusables, all things baby and parenting, etc. They can choose those kind of interest areas. This is going to give you that zero-party data off the bat. So it's definitely worth looking at. And of course, if you are doing multi-channel, omni-channel campaigns under GDPR, we have to have those separate opt-ins. So think about how you add those into your sign-up forms as well. Now, as people go through the sign-up forms, we then want to offer them their warmest of welcomes, and that starts from the very first moment with your welcome email. You want to welcome them, you want to thank them for subscribing, you want to deliver any offers that you gave them on that sign-up form, and really importantly, you want to drive them to that next step. What do they need to know to explore what you offer? What are the key things you need to call out? Is it best-selling products? Is it key categories for them to explore? Is it your blog? What is it? Is it the things that make you really special and unique, your USPs? So you can see that in the middle example, you've kind of got that call out of exclusive experiences, replacement protection, whatever that might be for you. This is a great place to start that conversation. Now, you don't want to put all of that into one email. You want to make sure that you are focused calls to action, focused theme to move them to that next stage. But as part of extending a warm welcome, consider extending that welcome email into a series if you haven't done already. Now, this is a great example from eBay where not only do they set expectations at the top of the email, there's going to be 6 emails in this series, but in each email, they reinforce that great service you deserve at the bottom, and then the core content is different on each email. They're not repeating themselves. They're calling out key areas, key focuses of the service that they provide, what people can do, whether that's product categories, whether that's the app, whatever that might be, social media connections. Through a series of 6 emails, that message builds up and the subscriber gets that experience of all the different things that they can do and explore from eBay. Now, this is great because within those first 30 days after subscribing, this is a really key time period to get that engagement going. So a welcome series like this is perfectly placed to capture attention, drive people through to those core elements, and support that first sale. Now, as part of that welcome series, of course, you want to make sure that if you have offered a reward, 10% off, free incentive, whatever that is, that you deliver that and that you remind people that perhaps that's going away, that that's time sensitive. So make sure that you're calling that out and also giving them that inspiration, as an example on the left, of perhaps what they could use it on. Call out some of those best-selling products or give them those categories to explore. Now, we worked with a company called Lifecycle. You can find the full case study on the e-focusmarketing.com website, but effectively they didn't have a welcome series in place. So leads, subscribers were coming in, they were going straight into the normal marketing emails without this first step of nurture. So what we did was we worked on a personalized series of emails. Oh, let me just get rid of that, make that stop. We worked on a personalized series of emails with them to understand whether or not somebody had leased a vehicle before or not, and to change that content accordingly as they went through a series. Now, before we did this, it was about 2% of email inquiries that were being generated, and when we implemented it, it went straight up to 10% of their total inquiries being generated from email. So an increase of 400% just from a really nicely personalized welcome series based on one key piece of information that they knew about their subscribers. Since implementation, the welcome series at the time of publishing the case study had generated 11.9% of the total marketing email inquiries. So it was a great addition to their automation, a great place for them to start. So whether you've got a welcome email, you don't have a welcome email, think about building that series, because this is going to be absolutely key for you to drive engagement and drive that initial series. Now, if they don't buy straight away, you've got to be taking them through that consideration even further. So your welcome series is that first point, but we then have multiple pieces of data that can allow us to target people who haven't bought from you yet when they're showing signs that they might be interested, for example. So the priority campaigns here would be an abandoned cart series and an abandoned browse series. So a couple of examples for you here. Now, what you want to do here is build a series. So I'll show you another little case study that we've got here. I can't mention the name of this company, unfortunately, but they're an online homewares retailer. Now, what we did for them is we didn't just set up one single abandoned basket email. We set up a series of 3. Now, 3 is often the optimal number with abandoned basket series, but the key here, and what I see a lot of people doing wrong, is don't just repeat on each of those 3 emails, you've forgotten these products, come back and buy them. As with any series you create, you want to evolve the messaging. Think about the behavior at the points at which those emails are sending. For example, by 48 or 72 hours, they may have found another product. They may have gone and bought elsewhere. Whatever that might be, you need to be thinking about how you change that messaging. And at that final point, for example, how you're pushing them to look at other products, related products, slightly different categories, whatever that might be connected to what they were looking at. Now, by doing this and by implementing that series that built up, this company achieved an additional £250,000 in additional revenue that they wouldn't have had in the first 6 months, just in the first 6 months after implementation. So that's exponentially increased by now. So think about building that message through any series, and whether it's your abandoned browse, I'd recommend 2 or 3 emails for an abandoned browse. Abandoned basket, 3 emails definitely as your baseline. This is where you're going to have, sorry to use the term, but low-hanging fruit that you can really optimize. Now, if you don't have these in place, focus on these types of campaigns. If you do, you already have a series in place, look at that recommendations. Have you got the one-to-one personalized product recommendations? If you have, brilliant. Think about other automated campaigns during this phase that you could potentially implement. I've got some ideas at the end for you. Now, as you're going through consideration, you really want to encourage and engage. And here's a great example from JustFab on manual emails that you're sending out, maybe not even automations, on how you can bring this in. So I think this first one was an automation that was sent out after signing up to prompt to use that sign up offer of 75% off. Now, in those manual emails that were being sent afterwards, calling out different products, this banner appeared at the top that if you hadn't purchased your first item, you got the banner saying 75% off. So automation is obviously our key theme throughout here, but just a call out, just with some really clever personalization at this group segmentation level of purchased or haven't purchased, you could bring in just that little bit of personalized content to drive them through to that first purchase. And when they get there and we move to that purchase and experience phase, we want to be thinking about that experience. So you've got your transactional emails in place. What comes next? What's that information? So we want to thank them for their purchase and do the purchase summary, so the transactional that you can see on the left there. But then the other 3 examples you can see here is what comes next. Do you have tips for them? Do you have a video for them? How can they make the most of that product? Do they need to do something specific when unboxing it, for example, as in the case on the right? So think about how you can help them. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, we've got thousands of products. Start with your best sellers, for example. Test this out, see how it works to really drive that loyalty going forward. So obviously, these emails aren't necessarily going to be a direct seller from these specific emails, although of course you can put cross-sell and upsell, but these are about help, experience, and building loyalty for the next stage, where we want to be driving them primarily through to the first and second purchase, second to third, third to fourth, so you can think about those different elements of your campaigns. And with any of these things, look at your data. So here, for example, what is the average time that somebody would make their first purchase? So going back to the purchase stage. And then here, what's the average time between first and second purchase for your audience? So that's where you want to then be promoting and prompting and triggering this type of campaign to drive them forward. Now, in that type of campaign, or generally with this loyalty stage, you want to be thinking about campaigns that are going to drive them back to buy associated products, to buy other products from you, to download your app, to whatever that might be as that next step for you. Now, of course, one of the ways you might do that is to offer them discounts. Let's say if they haven't purchased within a certain amount of time, as part of that first or second purchase, you might offer a discount on their next purchase. So we want to be building this and building this information, again, as personalized as possible for your business. Look at the data you've got, what's missing, what do you need going forward. And all of this is looking to drive that loyalty, drive those repeat purchases. And of course, generally, if you're collecting data like birthday, for example, if you've got the anniversary of their first purchase, you can then reward that and use that data to keep driving them back. Now, of course, these birthday emails could also appear in the consideration stage. The difference in the campaigns here between loyalty and consideration is have purchased, haven't purchased. So that's a big differentiator in terms of the information they need, but a lot of these campaigns can go across both of them with slight tweaks. When you're building your loyalty, if you do have a loyalty program, then of course, post-purchase and part of that experience, you want to be introducing them to that loyalty program and then reminding them how many points they've got, what they need to do to build up to the next stage. So there's that loyalty program. But even if you don't have a loyalty program, you can drive that loyalty perhaps with a recap email like you can see on the right here. This is what you're doing. It's almost gamifying that process, isn't it? Feeding that data back to them. So drive loyalty, drive them back to use your product or service, whether that's a loyalty program or using the data that you have. Driving loyalty is absolutely key. We all know that it costs more to acquire a new customer than it does to keep a current customer. And we're certainly seeing that kind of loyalty aspect and particularly the subscription economy growing. So what we will see and what we're kind of expecting is to see it grow from about $64 billion in 2020, a few years ago, to more than $263 billion in 2025 next year. So this subscription side, thinking about how as a business you can offer that chance to repeat purchase, buy again from you, restock. Now, even if that isn't offering a subscription, think about it in your data. How can you look at when someone last purchased whatever that product was, perhaps with some data analysis and some additions to your data? When would you expect it to run out, finish, or need replenishing? And use that data to then trigger campaigns off the back of that. So even if you don't have a subscription model in your business, if there is something that you can do there with your data to get that analysis, you can use that data to trigger fantastic campaigns based on the data to drive loyalty. So you can see all the great examples on the screen there from Grays, Rockin' Wellness, and Wildlife, Sephora, pushing people through to restock. And then as we move to that final stage of the customer journey, that win-back stage. Now, this could be customer reactivation where someone hasn't bought again within that expected time period, or it could be email engagement, for example. Someone hasn't opened or clicked on your emails within a certain time period. Here, we're trying to drive them back. So if they haven't engaged with your emails, for example, it could be, this is what you've missed. You can see that example from This Works on the left-hand side. This is what you've missed. This is what you might be interested in. Explore our key categories. Give them an offer, potentially, whether they're a subscriber who needs reactivating or a customer. If that's part of your policy, you might want to offer a discount for coming back and buying again. Now, don't forget, when you're looking at an inactive subscriber, they may not be an inactive purchaser. So again, look at your data and look at how you then tailor those campaigns to deal with those differences and deliver those differentiated messages. So when you're looking around that customer journey, there are a whole number of campaigns that you can implement. And I've given you just a few examples there as we've gone through your priority campaigns to focus on. But there's a whole world of different campaigns that you may want to implement depending on your business and the data that you hold. So think about your customer journey, your customer life cycle. What are those campaigns that you could potentially implement at each stage from the data that you have? And if you want to take it to that next step, think about those other marketing channels that you could combine in that multi or omni-channel view to really help reinforce your message and increase those touch points. Now, one of those that we've mentioned already is that you can integrate SMS. Now, SMS is brilliant for delivery updates, verification codes, appointment reminders, event information, refund updates. If you've potentially got a sale that's happening, if it's not too often, absolutely, a customer service is definitely a good use for SMS or WhatsApp, but I definitely think there is place strategically done for those sales elements as well. And integrating that SMS into those communications, whether it's abandoned basket or in the example that you can see on your screen where my vehicle had gone in for an MOT, They'd sent me a text, they'd sent me an email, and then there was a video that I could watch of that engineer going around my car, which was a really brilliant use of technology by Nissan. Now, that's super advanced and kind of next level, lots of different platforms in place to get that, but you can do parts of this and drive people through with that engaging content. Whatever sector you're in, there is a place for all of these elements for you. Now, I showed you that maturity model at the beginning. So now we've talked about those life cycle elements. Let's have a look at an example of some of the campaigns that you could bring in to that maturity model. So here you can see going from broadcaster down to predictor, through awareness, consideration, purchase, and then retention is loyalty and win back that we just looked at. Some of the types of campaigns that you could implement, from email campaigns to on-website personalization to WhatsApp and SMS campaigns. The key here is for you to fill out this chart and understand, depending on what stage you're at, what's your next step. What's your next campaign at each of these stages, your next personalization element that you are going to implement to send the right message at the right time to the right person? So that's it from me. We've now got some time for questions, and whilst you're putting those into the question box, I just want to tell you about your chance to enter our fantastic competition to win strategic consultancy with Spotler and eFocus Marketing. So we've got 3 main fantastic prizes for you. First prize is a 1-day workshop with me, either online with your team or in person at the Spotler offices. Now, we can go through your customer journey, your customer life cycle. We could go through specific campaigns that you want to build, your sign-up process. We'll tailor the day for you. This is a really fantastic prize, and you're going to get so much value out of it if you are that lucky first prize winner. Now, for our second and third prizes, we've got a brilliant email marketing strategic mini audit, which is going to pinpoint for our lucky winners those key areas of your strategy, where you are now, and those areas that you need to be focusing on going forward to really take you up to that next stage in that maturity model. And for 5 lucky runners up, we've got a copy of my best-selling book, Intelligence, Email Marketing Isn't Dead, the way you're using it is.
Kate, thank you very much for sharing that with us. All the rest of you, thank you very much for joining. I hope you've been inspired and you're already starting to think about where you fit in those kind of models and the things that you could bring in. So next steps from here, if you're already a Spotler customer, you want to do more of the stuff that we've talked about, your account manager is the best port of call to sort of help guide you through that process, introduce you to Kate and the team, and to get the ball rolling there. If you're not a customer yet, you definitely should be. Go over to spotler.co.uk/demo, fill in very short form, as we said there. Give us that nice little zero-party data of your email address, and we'll get in touch and arrange a demo. Anything else to follow up with? If it's general questions, then info@Spotler will get through to the right person. So thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.